The heck? No, stop. Whatever. An error occurred. Please try again. I do sound really quiet. Oop. Okay. It's clicking.
ちょっとね。
Fireproof talisman in an ice area. That's interesting. Though I think the boss actually might be fire. Oh wow, we've already made it to the boss. Hey there.
Oh, Twitch's April Fool's is lame. Oh yeah, we treated like food. Yeah. Because that's an awesome April Fool's right there, guys.
One thing I'm noticing is that YouTube is a lot better at counting the concurrent viewers than Twitch is. For most of my streams today, it was showing me as like 1 or 2 viewers when I know for sure there's 4 people watching. Whereas YouTube seems to
yeah,
count
that's
them that way.
that's one of the things I noticed about Twitch. Actually, is if I had Twitch running on a separate machine, which I would normally do to monitor my stream, I have to pretty much nearly constantly restart the or refresh the browser to
Yeah, that's
get
exactly what I was doing.
it gets irritating after a while.
Yeah, and it's hurting my average too, cause like I was almost to like 5 concurrent viewers, and you want to get like that 75 average to get to partner, and it took me down quite a few points, and I know I had a lot more than like one person on the stream for like an hour, so I just wanted to see like what my options were.
Who owns Twitch now? Isn't it?
Amazon, I think. I also noticed that performance-wise, YouTube is less like harsh on my browser than YouTube is. Like I can have YouTube open in Chrome and be watching my stream, and my computer doesn't want to blow up for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. And the requirements for bitrate is much less on YouTube than Twitch. It's almost like 1,000 kilobytes per second less.
I'm wondering if that's a codec issue. It'd be interesting to find out what. I mean, OBS should be using H.264.
Yeah, it is.
And YouTube uses H.264, I believe. But H.264 is just a container.
I see.
So it'd be interesting, if to see the difference in codecs that are being used between the two services.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point.
Do you still get 720p or /1080p with YouTube?
I believe I have the bandwidth for 1080p, but it suggests 720p as your bandwidth/resolution. I think my stream is set up for 720p, but my bitrate is like much higher than what I need.
It would actually be interesting to try it out with NVIDIA, the GeForce Experience stuff.
Oh yeah, that is interesting. Hey, because you can do streaming with the NVIDIA software, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it abuses. Unlike, the way they do it, it's capture at the hardware level rather than capture at the software level.
Oh, so
the downside is NVIDIA have got their own codec.
Oh, is that what the NVIDIA encoder, like NVENC is?
That's the one, yes. And the interesting thing about NVENC, however you want to say it, it slightly alters the gamut.
Oh, interesting.
So if you were to compare the two videos that I've shown you, which I've captured from Borderlands 2, if you were to sit down with two identical monitors and watch this side by side, my screen versus the video, you would see a slight difference in the color between the two.
Oh, interesting.
Because of the NVIDIA encoding.
I think OBS just added better support for that encoding too in version 23. It's supposed to get
I think it's
better performance.
because I can remember using it. I can remember setting it up when I was using OBS as well.
Yeah, I think it has. I think it's been supported for a while, but I think they improved it with version 23. And they also are supposed to be adding support for AMD cards, which my computer would be able to use with its, like, whatever the NVIDIA card is in this thing. I don't think it's a good one for gaming at all.
One thing they did change, I don't know if it's actually does it still have it. Let me just actually first things first. Let me pause. Let me see, because it used to be. Oh, and it does, yes, and it does. Now, actually, I'm gonna try something here. I have no idea if this is working. I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna share just Borderlands. So if I alt tab back to it, hopefully now you should be able to see eventually when it alt tabs out. Yeah, so hopefully you should be able to see my Borderlands window.
Yes.
So if I alt Z, you should be. Do you see the GeForce Experience overlay?
No, it just shows Borderlands right now.
Okay. Then in that case, let me just go here and here, and if I hit. So if I hit the print screen button, fingers crossed, because this could just derp up. Let me just cancel my screen share. Fingers crossed, because you know this is Microsoft Windows, and it is NVIDIA.
Yeah, they have a pretty bad track record apparently with certain things.
To be fair, they're not bad. It's just, you know, things sometimes don't quite work as you'd kind of hope that they do.
Yeah.
And this looks like one of the times, unless it's... no, it hasn't. So essentially, okay, this is the retarded part. If I go into the GeForce Experience, in the overlay, and I go to stream, I go to broadcast live, and hit settings. It gives me options to broadcast to Facebook, Twitch, YouTube.
Okay.
And the resolution I can set, let's see, for YouTube, I can set up to 1080. I can set up to 18 megabits per second. I can set the frame rate to 60 FPS if I wanted to. I can configure overlays. If I really wanted to, and this is the weird thing is, I've got YouTube selected, but I can also include a Twitch server as an ingest server.
Okay.
That's a bit weird, unless it's doing it via Twitch to YouTube, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But that might just be that they've gone and copied, because I noticed if I go to Facebook, I've also got the Twitch ingest server, so it might be that just that they're lazy. But yeah, I can go crazy, go nuts and stream. I don't know if I'd want to stream at 18 megabits to YouTube.
Yeah, I think it would tell you to turn the quality down like it did for me.
I don't even know if I've configured this for YouTube. Let's see, save, start. Oh, okay, so I can't. Okay, post as. Okay, who do I? I'm gonna try this out. I want to see what this is like. Now, what the hell is my NVIDIA password? 2 seconds, I need to load up Blur. Blah, blah, blah. Wrong button. Wrong button. Oh, for fuck's sakes. Blur's popping out. 2 seconds. I need a password manager to manage my password manager.
What password manager do you use?
Well, I use two. I use KeePassX.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm familiar with that one on Android.
And I use that really just to do the stuff that I don't want to have online. Then I use Blur for the others. Now, I did have like a 3 years worth of Blur, which synchronized everything between machines.
Oh, nice.
But that expired, and I can't bother spending money on it. So, it's like, for some inexplicable reasons, all my passwords are only available on MacBook, so I might need to like buy another year just so I can sync them over to my Windows machine, because I don't think I'm working here forever.
Yeah, that's one thing I really dislike about my password manager, 1Password, is my data is synced to iCloud, and I can't access that on the Windows version of it, so I kind of just use my browser's password syncing.
Oh, that's just dirt. Okay, so my password. I'm not going to read it out. That would be stupid, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So there's a picture, a set of pictures on the YouTubes, or on the internet, on the interwebs. Some girl showing off her first credit card.
Oh no.
On Facebook, and it's a public comment. It's a public post.
Oh god.
And so she's showing the complete front side of the account number, the account holder, all the details. someone then asks her to take a picture of the back, and she does so
She
without
did it?
questioning.
Oh no.
Yes. You can guess what her first credit card bill was like.
Crazy go nuts dollars.
Yeah. It hit the limit very quickly.
No doubt.
Okay, so that logs me into sign in Google to continue. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so this is gonna be fun. 2 secs. Now, hopefully, I can mark a stream as private.
Yes, I think you can have it be unlisted.
Okay, that's cool. 'Cause I don't want the entire world to be like, oh. Okay, so login as me, not BOS nerd, and lots of beepage going on. What's going on here? Did you just sign in? Yes, I just signed in. Congratulations, Google. I actually signed into your services every once in a while. It's like, oh my god, you just signed in.
That makes it happy.
Yeah. I have, 2FA, everything. What's going on now?
Yeah, I just set up another layer where you can like, use the Google app or the
NVIDIA GeForce Experience was granted access to your Google account. Yes, that was me. I got 2FA out the wazoo, but still Google's like, did you sneeze? Was that you? Okay, add a title, me being Claptrap. Okay. A dick. Location. I can't edit the look. Okay, so I'm guessing the location is for something else. Okay, so post that. Blah, blah, blah. Go live. Right, so if I go now to YouTube's. Okay, how do I even view my stream?
Yeah, that's something I found really confusing. Apparently you have to go to your, you go to the YouTube main page and you can click on your account and it'll bring you to like quote unquote your page. And it seems as if there's a random string for each video, like it's not like Twitch where you get your own address, which is kind of inconvenient. But apparently after you get so many subscribers you can set your own address.
Yeah. Now this is the cute thing I should already have.
Oh yeah, because you have your OS videos that you do that seems.
Yeah, but this is something completely different. I'm not doing that. And I've got like 119 subscribers on my regular, including you. Yes. But I went, oh right, okay. So I click on live. Your live streams will show up here. Oh, it's not. Oh, I need to click on start. Go live.
Yeah, that's the nice thing too. That you preview.
Oh.
You
You know what I forgot to do?
What?
It helps if I log into YouTube and then enable live streaming.
Oh yeah.
But what? Live streaming is enabled on my account. What?
Yeah, is it telling you about you have to apply for the key or something?
No, this is okay. Broadcasting to YouTube has started. Okay. So if I go back to my channel, live streaming, and I click on live control shout panel. No, it's trying to stream from a goddamn MacBook.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay, so let's try. Yeah, this is working. Okay, so I go here. Okay, so I turn this on. Boys on. You should now hit me. Let me just make sure. Okay, so I'm streaming at 60 frames per second. At 10,020. Sorry, 10,080.
Is that your bitrate?
And I've maxed out my bitrate to 18 megabits per second.
Nice.
So it's going to be interesting to see. So, oh wow, that is smooth. That is very smooth. It's not. So there's a lot of there's a lot of motion. There's a lot of anti-aliasing going on.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if it's downscaling and then upscaling to 1080 because that doesn't look as crisp as it should be.
Hmm.
I mean, you tell me what you think. It doesn't look
Yeah.
crisp to me.
Let me take a look. Alright. Let's take a look here. Oh, it's very smooth, yeah. Mine
It's
is,
definitely-
it says it's auto 480, but I can make it 1080-60, and it looks great. It looks like I'm playing it on my computer.
I mean, it's not bad, but it looks like I've got a bit of anti-aliasing.
It says it's auto.
But it might just be the codec. I mean, like I say, this is NVENC because I capturing this via GeForce Experience.
Yeah. Well, what's crazy is I have like your stream open, I have my stream open, I have the game open, and my browsers are not going crazy, go nuts. If this is Twitch, my computer would be like crashing right now because it uses so much like CPU utilization. I don't know why that is. It must be the codec, like you said. Maybe,
It's probably OBS because OBS has to set up a lot of capturing.
Yeah, but I have OBS
you know.
running too, and it's like, and the RTMP server, which doesn't take up that much.
The one thing I would like to find out, I mean, the one thing that Twitch is good at, which I'm not entirely convinced that YouTube is, with Twitch, you can set up all kinds of custom overlays using OBS. You know, if you need AFK, you can have an AFK screen. You can have you can have all kinds of stuff going on your screen. Whereas I think YouTube,
You can do that. It's just
I don't
whatever's-
think it's really captured for game setup. I mean, maybe if you're using OBS, then yeah, you can do it. But using something like GeForce Experience, I mean, I can set up custom things on my screen that you can see.
Yeah.
But there'll be custom things that NVIDIA have predefined, not things that I can just go in and edit. I mean, what I could do, if I really wanted to, if I go here and I click on settings and I go to where are you? Okay, I need to stop streaming. But if I go in, actually, let me stop streaming for a second. Let me go to settings and let me set up my overlays. So my overlays, I can do things like, well, actually, I can add pictures. That's a bit weird.
Oh, this is all within GeForce Experience?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it used to be that you could do things like add your CPU specs, various other bits and pieces. Oh yeah, so I can do that indicator FPS counter on here, my viewers here, and I can do my comments here. Let me try this a sec. This is going to be broadcast live. Okay, so that's all good. Back done. Broadcast start. And go live. Oh no, actually stop that because I didn't want to do a public. Or everyone was describing the Borderlands broadcasting being a dick in Borderlands. Stop that. It needs to remember settings, actually.
Yeah, that's the problem with it, I agree.
Oh, it does, that's good. It said it is unlisted. That's awesome, because that would have been embarrassing. Okay, so if I refresh, is it going to give me the same stream window? No, it's not. I see what it's doing, though. So if I go back to live events and I click on refresh, okay, so is this a different stream? Different ID? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
No, it's not.
Oh, it's the same ID every time?
Yeah, it is a different ID, sorry. It was just that it reuses the same thing inside the stream manager. That confused me for a bit. Right, so let's see if this works. You should... Oh, okay, so this is only showing me... try adding some, like, comments or something, dude. I can see me watching. I'll wait for this to go to. I'm getting 50 frames per second, which is not 60 frames.
Yeah, so it seems like the stream that you were on ended, so I guess I need to
Oh,
go to the
sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I need to go to the new stream. Oh no, it actually reloaded. Okay.
Yeah, I think you get. I think it records the stream. I'll have to check the.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, so every time you
So-
start the stream, it gives you a new string to put into your encoder.
And I think the old stream gets saved so that people can watch it. Because I know that some of the people who stream, like only in Japan, once their live stream is over, their stuff immediately goes into archive, so you can watch it once the streams, watch it again or what have you. Or if you missed it, you can catch up. I think that's how it works.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, and then you can go into your back end and delete stuff if you wish, or you can download the files and then you can turn that into something else if you like.
So this is going to be interesting. Yeah. Once it's loaded, try entering a comment. I pasted the new stream thing too.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to see if this works with. I know you won't be able to read it because you won't be able to read it on my screen because it's not broadcasting it.
Oh, so you have like a chat integration.
Yeah. So on my screen in the top left corner, I'm seeing frame rate. In the top right hand side, I'm seeing viewer count. In the bottom right, I see my broadcast status, my microphone status, and I should be able to see chats in the bottom left, in theory.
I pasted some bacon ipsum for you.
Nope, I don't see your bacon ipsum, but then saying that, it might be that they only support that for Twitch or Facebook too. But that's okay, because I wouldn't really use... excuse me, I wouldn't really use... I picked up a cold from somewhere. I wouldn't really use GeForce Experience. I'm more likely to use OBS because when I was streaming, what I'd do is I'd start my stream and then I'd wait for the game to catch up, and what I'd do is I'd have like a please stand by screen, or stream starting, which would play some music, and then when I was ready, I'd press a button on the keyboard and it would change to the actual stream. If I needed to go BRB, I'd press another button on the keyboard and it would change to like, bio break or whatever it is. I'd have all those kind of intermission screens and all that kind of jazz set up. And you just can't do that, at least not easily, with GeForce Experience. I mean, yeah, you can have overlays in the form of bitmaps, but I had like overlays in the form of movies.
Yeah.
So like, moving backgrounds and all that kind of jazz. Actually, I'm gonna just see what happens if I press.
Yeah, I want to get that sort of stuff set up in my OBS, like a BRB screen and all that stuff. I had it before, but it wasn't anything amazing. I do like YouTube though. The performance is really great. I haven't tried 1080p, but it's so much better than Twitch's performance. I don't think this game is running at 1080p anyway. I think it runs at 720p because it's a PS2 game.
Yeah, okay. Although with that said, it depends on the graphics hardware, because some graphics hardware can upscale. Because I know Pascal, so that's the 980 and 1080 cards. Well, the 9XX and the 10XX series cards can upscale 1020p to 2K. But then if you're playing on a console, I have no idea
Oh, it's actually downscaling it because it says my input is 1920 by 1080, 59.94 FPS progressive, and I'm outputting 720p. So I guess I'm actually scaling it down because of my bit rate that I'm actually streaming to my RTMP server. So I bet if I crank that up, it would be 1080p, 60. But I try to keep it 720p to give my CPU a break.
Yeah, I can't say I blame you there, dude. Honestly, I can't say I blame you. When I was looking into streaming on my old i3, I was pretty much the same thing. I wouldn't dare try 1080p because it would just slaughter the CPU, like completely slaughter the CPU.
Yeah. And it seems like 720p is what Google recommends for YouTube anyway.
I have to admit that doing this at
Yeah, your 1080p 60 is great. It's not even stuttering at all.
Now, one of the big tests will be when I go outside of Concordia and actually chuck some load at it by taking part.
With all the particles and stuff.
So I'm not. Oh, actually, no. I'm in the perfect place. Let me just make sure. So I have the kick-ass weapons. I've got the refill IFE. Check this out for reload speed. So let me fire a couple of rounds.
Okay.
Reload.
Hold on. Did this end?
Wait for the stream to catch up. That is like instantaneous reload on this weapon.
Fire that again. Oh wow, that's crazy.
I got this one as well, which is so I get a lot of my buffs on my first shot and my last shot. This is a 4-shot shotgun.
Wow, that's so fast. And there's so many particles everywhere.
Yeah, that's not actually performing too bad, is it?
No, it's not.
Let's go and annoy some more. Come on. Come to me. Come to Papa. This shotgun is absolute kick-ass. Because I do a fire nova, when I do my last shot.
Wow, yeah.
So the talent tree is actually quite insane on Claptrap.
Are you freezing them and they're shattering?
Yes.
Yeah,
so instead of
an ice element in this one, right?
Yes. And that's the one you use instead of slag in this game. So instead of slagging them, you're freezing them, so you do more damage against them. So where is the talent? Essentially, so there's 3 talent trees in Claptrap. Boom Trap, which increases your pew pew. I love you guys. Which does various things. I can request that you high-five me, and it buffs group output. Then you have Fragmented Frag Trap, which is hilariously funny but really annoying for group play. Because essentially, every once in a while, like you can see it occasionally, it'll come up like a shield subroutine, and that's changed my shield. There's one for weapon subroutines which changes the weapon type, which is really annoying because you've got to switch to that weapon type, otherwise you lose damage. It just gets worse than the ultimates. Rainbow Coolant, which is epic, but apparently this whole tree fragmented flag trap is really annoying in group play. And if I used it, you guys would end up hating me. But this one's actually kind of cool. I like the I love you guys tree. You get so when my shield's depleted, I release a nova. With this one, when firing a fully loaded gun after reloading, I generate an explosive nova. I've also got one where the last round from my magazine has got an 800% last shot bonus. So this shotgun, the one I'm using right now, is 2 scoops. So essentially, it is a two round weapon.
Oh,
So any shot is going to be the first shot and the last shot. So apparently this one plus this here, the warming avalanche, which is a nice shield which grants immunity to ice. So that means I don't take damage from my own shotgun.
yeah.
Normally I'd run with, because I'm a robot, I'd run with this shield here,
Okay.
which gives me immunity to corrode because I'm a
Oh,
robot.
good. Yeah. Corrosion will mess you up.
Oh yeah. But so I got my corrosion assault rifle, my
Oh,
shot.
does that mean Claptrap's health bar is yellow? Wait,
I wanted the same thing, but no, it's actually just plain red.
ooh.
I think it means I get slightly more health. But yeah, this is. So there's my necromancer. Off he goes. Really, really inaccurate and really slow, but really, really powerful and awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that Nova, when it triggers, and like I say, this is a 2-shot, and it fires both shots at once, so it's my first and last shot on the magazine. Boom. So this is really in your face. This is going to be a lot of fun. It won't result in this much giving in Ultimate because I won't be able to one shot.
The Ultimate mode and the pre-sequel is a lot more forgiving than in Borderlands 2.
It'll be interesting to try it out.
Yeah, I do want to try this too.
Come on, give me what I want you to give me. This is minion traps. This is the turret, except it fires rockets randomly because it's Claptrap after all.
Yeah, he's completely an unknown entity. He can do anything at any time.
Some of these, I mean, these abilities are really awesome, but because they're Claptrap, they've all got downsides. And you have to really pay attention because they've all got downsides. I think, I haven't tested it, but I think the rocket is not only is it indiscriminate, but I think it can damage everyone else as well.
Oh wow, friendly fire. Jeez.
So yeah, I need to determine that. Come on, give me the one that I really want. The one that I really want is absolutely awesome. Where she'll stop, nobody knows. This is the Meat Unicycle, which is obviously the Psycho.
Yeah.
I can't throw. There's no thrown buzz axe. It's only. That's cool. What the hell I did there? Things just die because it's Claptrap. I killed everything. Oh, I know what I'll do. I love the O2 pack. I keep on. Last night when we were playing BL2, I kept on finding myself wanting to do this. So you jump and you smack space and you just glide and then you stomp.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. And there you go. See, my shield has just changed. It's a shame I can't see what it's changed to. And yeah, when I kill things, I get a nice pink heart.
Yeah, I do like the heart.
No idea what it means, but it's cool. Okay,
Yeah,
come on.
Borderlands 2 kind of has nice little visual touches like that, like with Zero. If you revive him, he has a little heart on his visor.
Is it the Siren? Yeah, I think it's Maya's self-heal with all the hearts and unicorns and...
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. This is a Sugarruff, which is a nod to... There's so many pop culture references in this. This is a H.P. Lovecraft reference.
Yeah, nice.
Let's see if you want to give
his ass.
Okay, Blightbot. So this is the Siren.
Nice.
He's my favorite. And they tell jokes to each other, which is awesome.
Oh,
this is so nicely done. Is another one alive? Someone? No.
It's funny too because this game is hated by Borderlands fans so much. Maybe if that was more at first, but I think I read that this one was held in very little regard when it came out.
Why? It's beautiful. It's awesome. I'm gonna guess it's maybe because it's the Australian accents.
Yeah, it could be that, and maybe when it first came out, it didn't seem like it was gonna have as much content as Borderlands 2, which it still doesn't. But
Yeah.
I know that people really disliked it a lot.
That's a bit weird because I'm liking this more. I know it sounds really weird to say, but I'm liking it more than Borderlands 2.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, because there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of backstory exposition here. I mean, it goes into Jack and the claptraptics, whatever the fuck voyage. The Claptrap DLC goes into explaining more of. Okay, Gun Wizard is awesome. Gun Wizard buffs your reload speed, your fire speed. I think it does for everyone in your party.
Oh, that's great. I love those abilities that have team utility.
But I think the one that I really need to show you only happens when my shields are down. So come on, one of you's going to have to... Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here, I'm going to change to the corrosion shield. Just...
I remember.
Oh, my shield regen is really crazy in
Yeah.
this for some reason.
Oh wow, your Claptrap looks very distinguished with his epaulets.
Oh yeah. Just so you could tell me apart when you play, I decided to go for one that looks like the Poland bone part because I found that's the most fitting, I think.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a shame I can't zoom in and zoom out. Yeah, it's come on, I wanna.
Yeah, streaming on YouTube's pretty good. I'm liking it.
Because these are random. Okay, Meckham. So there's a whole bunch of them. This one just again it's the oh, and you get the healing. You get the Necromancer buffs and it all.
Awesome.
Okay, so my frame rate was really starting to drop here down to 22 FPS.
Oh wow. Is it because of all the particles like or Borderlands 2?
It might be. It might be if I was to shut down or if I was to lower it to 30 frames per second. I think this is where the capturing is causing a slight because this game captures on hardware. That's the way it works in NVIDIA.
Mm-hmm.
It basically does a mem copy from the video memory to the main memory.
Oh wow.
So if there's not much going on, your game runs fairly nicely. But if there's a lot going on, then it has to sacrifice some image, and it basically works by trying to do everything it can to avoid sacrificing stream quality.
Mm-hmm.
So come on, give me the one I want. Okay, that's the big trap up there. It's completely random, so. When he first spawned this, he was like, "I've got a minion!"
Yeah, he loves his minions.
And I can see where it comes from now. I mean, there's so this Claptrap that I'm playing now is the Claptrap from Borderlands 2.
Oh, cool.
And so essentially, when Jack scraps the product line, he really scraps the product line. He scraps
Everyone but this one somehow made it out alive.
and he gets found by Havelock.
Really?
The rest
Because
is-
Hammerlock hates Claptrap so much. But yeah,
Yeah.
he saved him. Maybe he regrets that.
Yeah, I think he probably saved him, and then Claptrap spoke, and then instant regret.
That's funny.
Okay, so play ball again. This is annoying. There's no way. Let me. Have I disabled it? Have I stupidly disabled it?
I want to try streaming this at 1080 just to see like what happens. Look how my computer handles it.
Living near the edge. That's the name of the. Okay, yeah. So you can see here that I got what's called a pirate ship mode.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that I'm trying to unlock because it is absolutely awesome. Oh, excuse me. Thank you. But it's one of those things, you know, when you don't want it, it shows up. When you do want it, good luck getting it to show up.
Yeah. I hate those sorts of things in games.
Oh yeah, my sniper rifle. The best sniper rifle in the game. One called the Machine.
Oh wow. Is it automatic?
It's based. That is absolutely. Boom! It's the absolute best.
Jeez. That trap's so silly.
But yeah, this to be fair, I really do like it. And I think the pre-sequel is a really good game. I really like it.
It's good.
I kind of hope that Claptrap's playable in Borderlands 3.
Yeah, I hope so too. Even as a DLC character. Okay, so I'm able to stream to
I'm gonna
YouTube
kill
at
this one.
1080p. OBS is using 35% CPU, but all it's doing is streaming to YouTube on my iMac, so it's not that big of a problem, but it does double the CPU workload over 720p, which is okay. Although I'm used to seeing like 30% utilization with OBS.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I imagine OBS eats up a metric crap ton. I don't get it because I've got obviously got about 20 cores in this damn thing, so OBS just sits there doing nothing for me.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's one of those things, you know. It's like like I said, when I tried it on the i3, you know, I had to be very careful about what. Oh wow, okay, so it said it as public. No. Oh, that's interesting.
What's that?
So you can configure a live, so upcoming live stream, and you can configure it. Wow, that's interesting. So you can configure a live stream to show as incoming, and then you can set up your stuff, and then you can hit on start, I guess, or whatever you. That's
Yeah,
cute.
that's what I like about it. They don't have a staging area on Twitch like YouTube or even Periscope have. I like that because you can make sure your audio is good to go and everything.
Yeah, I must admit I do like the stream control panel. So I mean, maintaining a stream. I mean, how the hell do I delete these now? Edit. the hell do I delete them? Yeah, this is what? So what?
What?
What? How do I? Oh, right, okay. So you can't do what you can do in the video manager and delete multiple archives at the same time.
I know, I realized that too. That's annoying, but otherwise it's fine.
Yeah, I agree. It is. Oh, so this is interesting. So yeah, this is I actually like the. I gonna guess that this is gonna be one of those things that Google add more functionality as time goes along.
Yeah, because they have like a studio thing as well, which is supposed to be in beta. So we'll see what more they add to this.
Yeah.
But as it is now, I like it a lot, and the performance is great. Like,
Yes.
I could never have so many like tabs open of Twitch and it not kill my computer.
It'll be interesting as well as if the live streaming gets you the same kind of analytics that you could get with regular YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, it does have an analytics portion. I'd like to check that out. But I do like the live analytics you get while you're watching. You can see concurrent viewers, chat rate, and playbacks. Which is cool.
So it looks like Twitch has got themselves a huge competitor.
They really do, and I just think YouTube is probably a good platform to move to for streaming, just because they're talking about all these integrations with, I guess their Stadia thing, which I probably won't use, but I know there'll be like more advanced features coming that Amazon doesn't seem interested in supporting just yet. Although I'm sure it's in the pipeline, like with Apple having their own game service now, Google has one. Microsoft has xCloud, Sony has PS Now, so everyone's kind of getting their services in place, and we'll see who wins the day.
Yeah, and it's like I suppose it is something that was bound to happen at some point because the Let's Play scene is. I mean, how long? That's been around for what, 5 years, give or take.
Yeah, something
But
like that.
it's growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
And if you add to that the likes of Dick Cheese, what's his name? Begins with a P.
I don't know.
You know, that weird guy.
Which weird guy? There are many.
The weird YouTube guy who wants to be the richest guy in the world.
Oh, PewDiePie.
Yeah, that minge.
Yeah, I don't like him after his comments that he made that were very insensitive.
I've never liked him. I remember sitting down and watching. I watched part of the video where he was doing something or other, and it's just like all he's doing is just like talking crap.
Yeah, which I guess like if you're a tween, that's funny. But like
Yeah,
us
that's
adults-
edgy. You know, when he was playing the first stream that he did, I became aware of him. He was playing some kind of survival horror game,
Oh, interesting.
and it involved like walking down a corridor, and this ghost of a young kid appeared.
Oh, it sounds like it could be Fatal Frame or something.
Yeah, I have no idea what the game is, but essentially it repeats ad infinitum. So you'd walk down a corridor, and you'd end up in like a very similar kind of place, and another kid the same kid had run out. But if you just like, if you just like walking around talking, not paying attention to where you're going, just walking, the kid runs past you and runs straight into a wall. And PewDiePie noticed that, and then he noticed it again, and he's just like, oh my god, this is epic. And I'm just like sitting there thinking, is that all that you do? Is just play games and just like unleash inner child?
I guess that's his shtick.
And you're like the richest YouTuber in the history of YouTube, and you think that you're actually contributing something to society. Dude, seriously? That guy makes how many millions a year?
I wonder if he still makes that much money, because I think he kind of bounced back even from his.
Yeah, he's number 2 on YouTube.
Oh wow, who's number 1?
I have no idea. I honestly, the level of care that I have is best expressed as a floating point number with at least 10 zeros in there. And a decimal point. It's something like 10 to the minus 20 or something. I don't know. OS Nerd that's something which I am gonna bring back at some point. But I'm not foolish enough to think that I could, There are some people who go out of their way. I mean, there's the EEV blog, LGR, Jim Sterling. But they all make useful contribution. In the case of EEV blog, he does a lot of stuff regarding electronics. In the case of LGR, he does a lot of things with retro computing, ditto with Retro Man Cave, Nostalgia Nerd.
By the way, Vina says that T-Series is the number 1 channel on YouTube now.
That's the one. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. Personally, I prefer S-Series.
You prefer the S-Series, huh? Well played.
But yeah, it's with OS Nerd. Yeah, it's something I'd like to get back into. But
yeah, you did a really good job. I was impressed at how professionally you did them. It's great.
It's definitely not something I feel that I could ever turn into a full-time job. I mean, kudos to people who do spend the time, like I said, Jim Sterling, LGR, EV, blah 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 blah. But for me, I just don't think I could ever. I'm pretty sure they said exactly the same things. I'm pretty sure when Sterling set up his videos, he was never expecting to get what he is. But I honestly don't think I could make it into a full-time job. And yet you got people like PewDiePie.
Yeah, which I got from South Park. PewDiePie.
Which seem to do, Carbon Bra. Who seem to do very, very little except make fools of themselves or talk crap. And yet somehow they become like the richest people on YouTube. It's like
Yeah.
What gives?
Yeah, it's really strange. Also, have you ever visited that one of the channels you sent me? I think it was about the Acorn. At like the Computing Museum. I'm not sure in what city in the UK it's based, but have you ever visited that museum?
No, I haven't. I think it's near Cambridge, but no, I've never been there.
I would love to. It seemed really awesome.
One place I'd love to go as well is the Bletchley Park Museum.
Okay.
It's where Bletchley Park was where.
Is that where Adam Turing was?
Yeah, that's where Turing was during World War II. It's also where Colossus was built. That's the Turing bomb. They have a recreation of the Colossus, and they have a recreation of the Turing bomb.
Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty much why I'd like to go there. I think they have a PvP-1 as well, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, history.
Oh yeah, it's an interesting thing, really. I mean, It's not so long ago. Computing was pretty much the realms of mathematicians only, and now, here we are, 50, 60 years later, and computing is 100 times more than it used to be.
Yeah.
If you look at a PDP-1, there's probably more computation going on in well, there is in an Apple Watch than any early computer. I mean, the arms in the iPhone, the arms in your Android phone, and the arms in your car make most 1970s computers look like toys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy how people always say like there's more computational power in your smartphone than in the computer that took us to the moon.
Yeah, yeah. And the computer that took us to the moon was there's a video. Some guy did a presentation for the Chaos Computer Club on the architecture of so the Apollo mission had two computers. There's one computer in the command module, and then there's another computer in the landing module. And it talked about the architecture of the computer in the landing module. And basically, it's a virtual machine.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Way
one.
back
It's like,
then?
yeah, in like, I think it started design in the early '60s. Yeah, it's a virtual machine. Not only does it have an instruction set, but it has a virtualized instruction set as well.
Wow.
A higher level virtualized instruction set. It's hardware-wise, it's really simplistic, but what they did with that hardware is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and it's crazy how you don't really have the willpower to pull something like that off today. Like it'd probably cost so much more, even though it's something we've done already. To bring it to modern standards would probably be.
Well, I don't know. I don't think. I mean, back then there wasn't really anything. You couldn't go and buy a PC from Kmart.
Yeah.
You had to custom build your stuff because they were really worried about well, hey, look, if you put electronics in space, it needs to be shielded because there's no atmosphere to because a lot of people don't realize is that our atmosphere, the upper ionosphere, is responsible for deflecting or dealing with electromagnetic radiation from solar flares.
Yeah, we also have those kind of electromagnetic field bubbles around the Earth, right? That are kind of layered.
Yeah, and those deflect a lot of electromagnetic radiation from the sun. If you go past that, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you're gonna fry. That's what you're gonna do.
Yeah. So they had to create shielding for the computers, build them with such you've got space constraints because you're on a tiny. The landers are absolute tiny.
Mm-hmm.
The command module is tiny. The lander is tiny. So you got limited space, you got limited weight because the more weight you add to the command module and the landing module, the more fuel that you need in a rocket, the larger the rocket has to be. All kinds of bizarre stuff like that. So back in the '60s, they couldn't really go and buy off DEC or IBM, whatever it is. They had to go custom build. But now there's a whole bunch of interesting stuff about the computers that actually run on the ISS.
Oh, interesting.
Essentially, it's a custom data bus. Actually, there's two custom data buses. There's a Russian data bus because half the station is Russian origin, and then there's an American data bus because obviously the other half is roughly half and half Russian American. It's a bit more than that because you've got the Japanese, you've got the Europeans involved as well. But essentially, the machines. The consideration they have to take into effect is cooling. They can't use air cooling because that generates thrust in outer space because there's no air. There's very little in the way of air resistance. So you can't go and put a huge fan on a blade because that blade will probably start putting pressure on the hull because it's trying to move because the blade's propelling it through space. So they have like sealed cooling, closed circuit cooling systems. But essentially, the machines are the same thing that you'd put in your HP server rack at work.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's all commodity. with the exception of the cooling and the power supply. And it's like looking at that, it's like, ooh, that is interesting. I wonder what things will be like in like 40 years time.
Oh man, who knows? Things are going so fast. Well, AI will be much more mature, no doubt.
I don't think it would be the AI that we've all grown to know versus via
Science fiction.
science fiction. Yeah, I think it's going to be machine learning is definitely going to be more enhanced. Big data is going to be more of a thing. I think big data is definitely going to be more of a thing.
Do you think that when I was working at my previous employer, I won't say who they were on the stream, but they were getting into this thing for SAP called HANA, where it's kind of like Redis, where you hold data in memory so that you can do really fast computations with the data. Do you think that will become more the norm than it is now?
The more memory that we get, yeah, most likely. I mean, the whole thing in the big buzzword in some parts of the industry is what's called NoSQL.
Oh yes, like Mongo.
Yeah, MongoDB, Redis, RabbitMQ. In the world of AWS and cloud things, you have services like DynamoDB, where you have data stores and you're not using structured query language. Actually, this is not new. This is not new at all. So, in the 1980s, there was a project on the Symbolics Lisp machine called, let's see if I can remember its name, Symbolics Status, I think was the name of it. And basically what Status is, it's what's known as an object-oriented database.
Oh, interesting.
So there's no SQL, there's no querying. It's structured because everything is structured in the same way that you define a class in any other OO programming language. So your schema
like what Mongo is like. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, this has been around for, like I said, the 80s, and I think it was still around in the late 90s. I forgot. When Symbolics died in the mid 90s, a lot of their technology went with a lot of the more useful technology kind of proliferated into other things. I think Status is still around, or was still around. But yeah, so your whole schema is your object definition. You have querying where you could do all kinds of querying by just running a couple of methods over the objects.
Exactly. That's exactly how Mongo is. It's like every instance has methods built in for finding many or one object or deleting them, and it's all like inherent within the object you're instantiating. And you can define your own methods. You can define your own methods too.
Oh yeah, and backing store was done via B tree, well actually it was done via a B star tree on disk, but it also allowed object persistence, which is another buzzword with regarding NoSQL. In other words, in-memory database.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
So this stuff isn't new. A lot of the stuff that we currently have in current generation tech is not new. Machine learning goes back to the 70s for crying out loud. Text-to-speech goes back to the 60s. Speech-to-text also goes back to the 60s. A lot of what we consider to be artificial intelligence is not artificial intelligence by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah,
some of the stuff.
Test at all.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff. So there was a thing called the AI winter. So, okay, a bit of context behind the AI scene is required here. AI was one of those big things that came about in the computing academia world in the 60s. It was promised to have a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting applications. So it got a lot of military funding via the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. which was the predecessor to ARPA. And if you know who DARPA is, you'll know that they gave us the internet.
Metal Gear. Yeah.
So DARPA funded a lot of I'm going to call it crackery because a lot of it was crackery. So there was a whole bunch of different things inside AI. So first things first, you have NLP, natural language processing. This is the ability for a machine to understand a language of natural origin. That is English, Russian, French, Spanish. The ability to parse it into some kind of abstract tree and then do something with it. NLP is still alive. Alexa uses NLP. Siri uses NLP. Google Assistant uses NLP. Google Search actually uses NLP. And it basically builds it down into a parse table or whatever that the machine can understand. Because the alternative at the time was to actually teach the machine intelligence, actually program the machine. And this was one of the things in the 60s and 70s. It was done in the University of Edinburgh, then the University of actually it was done Cambridge University, Edinburgh. It was done in the University of Morgan, which was in South Wales, as well as MIT, Stanford, etc.
Yeah.
Basically, teaching a machine, or at least having a machine that works like a human brain. So you would teach the machine.
Network, I think they called it, right?
Yeah, it was a bit more complicated than neural networking. Neural networking is just one technique where you're replicating a neuron.
Okay.
You've got various different kinds of neural networking, weighted neural networking, neural networking with back tracing learning, all kinds of weird, wonderful things. But the only thing a neural network is really doing is replicating how a neuron works in relation to other neurons. That's the lowest level of computation is, a biological computation inside a human, really. By itself and in of itself, it's completely useless.
Yeah, because I think on the documentary that PBS did, The Machine That Changed the World, the problem that the researchers found is that it lacks basically like imagination and the ability to make inferences. And
which is where machine learning comes into play. And that's another big thing that's used by Google, Amazon, Microsoft, any large company you can think of that has lots of data, that machine learning is going to be in there. Because machine learning will take a lot of data sources and make inferences from that data source. It's also a big part of big data analytics. The security industry uses it a lot for threat vector analysis and all that kind of stuff. So machine learning twinned in with a neural net, twinned in with speech recognition, text to speech, image recognition. So these all spawn from the idea of having a computer that you're basically your HAL 9000. Your
electronic brains.
Yeah, your quote artificial unquote intelligence. One stage down from sentience, from self-awareness, and if it ever gets self-aware, it will wipe out the human planet by nuking it. Right. That event will be called Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Then, like 10 years after Judgment Day, John Connor will come back in time and find his mother. No, so artificial intelligence made a lot of promises. There was also another forgotten area of artificial intelligence called knowledge engineering.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like some philosophy, like epistemology or something.
Well, knowledge engineering, so imagine you have a database of car faults, with the symptom and the cause. Mm-hmm. What knowledge engineering would do is it would let you have a knowledge base, which is a huge database of facts and various things like that. And the idea being is you'd have a diagnostics aid that it would ask you, what's the problem? I'm going to guess you played animal, vegetable, mineral. I'm going to guess that you've played, you played with ELIZA. If you've done any kind of course on AI, I'm sure ELIZA's been brought up somewhere. Okay. It's kind of like that. It's more like animal, vegetable, mineral than it is ELIZA. Basically, the machine, the system, if you want to diagnose a problem, you would select from a list, or you type in car won't start. the thing will give you a rundown of everything it knows about
Oh, is
cars.
this one of
starting.
those? I think that documentary called these like expert machines.
Yes,
Or-
expert systems is another name.
Yeah,
So,
expert systems.
yeah, so expert systems is basically applied knowledge engineering or knowledge-based systems. It's long and it's complex, but it's another reason why AI failed. So you had a big push in installing expert systems / knowledge-based systems into things like hospitals, into garages, into all kinds of places where you could have the replication of a human expert in machine form.
Yeah.
So, and then also on top of that, you had, and this is still a thing, although probably not as big as it was. You also have robotics, and artificial intelligence, things like swarming, things like machines being able to solve geospatial problems such as navigating a maze. Again, using parts of things like neural networking, machine learning, blah 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 blah. So AI made all these promises, and through the 60s and 70s, funding left, right, and center, right up until like the late 80s, when Congress and in the US and British Parliament in the UK were all like, "Hey, dude, why the hell are we funding you? What results have you given us?" Funding was cut. AI became a laughing stock in the academic community. So you had like several hardware vendors who provided machines for the AI community, mostly Lisp computers.
Yeah.
So you had Symbolics, you had Lisp Machines International, you had Texas Instruments, and there was another one who I can't quite remember the name of. These machines were incredibly expensive, incredibly complicated, and they all ran Lisp on hardware. And they were really fast. They were really beautiful machines to work with and to use. They were capable of a lot. In fact, some of the special effects in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, were done on a Lisp machine. So coupled with the AI winter, as Moore's law kicked into place, microcomputer architecture increased in capability. So you had things like the Sun Microsystems workstation, the Digital Equipment Corporation Unix workstation, the HP Unix workstation, even the Macs. They all increased in performance tenfold over the space of a few years. So it became possible to run Lisp directly on these machines on top of Unix. It wasn't as good as a development environment on a Lisp machine, but it was a lot less expensive. So the AI winter is twinned with the death of Lisp as a hardware platform, Lisp machines. It was only after the fact that people started realizing that, hey, text-to-speech is useful, or hey, speech recognition is useful, or hey, natural language processing is useful. So they started taking bits and pieces out of the AI field. And now we have like artificial intelligence, but without really it being the same kind of artificial intelligence it was in the 60s and the 70s. So yeah, AI will get better. Will it get to the state where, as Prince Charles puts it, we have grey goo because Charles is confusing nanotechnology, or to be more precise, nanorobotics, with artificial intelligence? No, I don't think we're going to have HAL 9000. I think the moral and ethical issues raised by having intelligence in machine form, what happens, it's like the episode of Star Trek where Data is brought up under Starfleet, and they basically question his sentience on the grounds of, can something be sentient if it has a power switch?
Oh.
The moral of that, we could debate that all day, and it's not really come up with a clear consensus. Someone could argue, well, yeah, self-determination has got nothing to do with a power switch. I mean, is a human no longer sentient because he can be turned off with a bullet to the head?
Yeah, but that's a good argument there too.
So
I think they're mutually exclusive. Sure they don't have any agency, but like you just said, like if human can just be ended, we ultimately don't have agency either. So what's the difference?
If you put a human into a medical coma, or you can do this. You can actually kill a human. Do major. So basically, you drain the human of the blood. You replace the blood with, well, you can either not replace the blood, or you can, I believe you can replace the blood with some kind of other entity. You chill the human down to a certain point, so basically all heart, lung, and brain activity stops. So that person is technically dead. You can then perform surgery on that human, and then you start warming them up, and then you start putting their blood back into them, and they recover. And there have been several successful operations done in this manner, where the human is technically dead for the operation, then revived from death. You've only got half hour to do it, but it's still possible.
I think I've heard of these sorts of things too.
To me, that's an off switch.
Yeah, I would say.
But yeah, we can get dragged into this argument day and night, and we can spend months arguing it philosophically, metaphysically, ethically, morally. But I still don't think we'll come up with a clear consensus. So yeah, it's definitely not something to discuss on the stream unless we want to stream for a month without eating, drinking, sleeping.
Would you want to watch the episode of that PBS documentary about artificial intelligence? It's pretty good.
Probably.
Okay, it's a really good series. They go from Babbage all the way up to like DARPANET and the advent of the internet. I think it was made in the early 90s, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be interesting. I mean, to be honest with you, it's probably nothing I don't know about.
Yeah, I'm sure you know about it, but it still would be fun to watch.
Yes, that's
I'm sure you know about it. You're quite the computer historian in your own right.
It's one of those things. Sometimes, knowing computer history or being interested in computer history, it's like a double-edged sword. I think it's the same with any kind of history. I'm pretty sure that there are people who've watched a historical movie and have just sat there going, "Dude, WTF? That didn't happen." It didn't have that in that. Yeah. Oh my God, you're using a small magazine Lee Enfield when your movie's set in 1870. You're about 20 years too early there, bro.
Yeah. Sometimes you can know too much and it can kill your enjoyment.
Yes, but thankfully, I've got a whole bunch of crap on history of computing, and I usually generally enjoy it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, AI is one of my. It's the entire notion that someone set out to try to create an actual intelligence. The idea being with the Turing test. I mean, no doubt you've heard of the Turing test.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier.
And no doubt you know what the Turing test entails.
I don't remember the exact details, but I think it's like a series of questions that a truly sentient AI would be able to answer.
Sorta. You're very close. So the Turing test is, imagine you have two rooms, and in each room there are two entities.
Oh, yeah.
There is a terminal that allows you to talk from one room to the other. You can't see what's in the other room, but you can talk via text, via the terminal. So the Turing test basically stipulates that if a human, upon talking to a machine, cannot distinguish that machine from another human, then that machine has passed the Turing test.
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting. There's a service that someone created where you can actually upload or share someone's social media, and based on that data, they try to recreate this person's personality. And it's sort of like a messaging app where you're talking to this like recreation of a person just based on social media. And it's really creepy.
Oh yeah, that goes back to ELIZA. The ELIZA package was one that it wasn't true AI, it wasn't true NLP, it wasn't true machine learning or anything like that. It was a preset sequence of triggers, but you could actually hold a conversation with it. So that was in like 1960 Blair, I forget. And then you had, let's skip a few years, we had various people try and fail at doing it. In the late 90s, you had something called AIML, artificial intelligence markup language.
Mhm.
And it was very, very similar to XML. And the idea being is that there's various bots, one called Alice, which was the reference implementation, and a whole bunch of stuff built around AIML. With AIML, you could use it to quote teach unquote a machine various factoids. Basically, you'd pass it in bits and pieces of information such that it would be able to have a conversation with something. And this has kind of been expanded upon until now we get that service where you feed it a whole bunch of data and it machine learns and it builds a personality around that. However, all these things can still fail the Turing test because you'd still get a valid response to an invalid question. Because machine learning and natural language processing can still be tripped up by the ambiguities in the English language. It gives me a headache. Well, yeah, how does it give me a headache? Does it actually walk up to me and say, "Here's a headache"? You see what I mean? There's loads of ambiguities in our language and the way that we speak that we can understand that machine can't. So if you talk to a machine in a nonsensical manner, and you get and the machine, tricky machines will be like, they'll give you a question mark because they can't pass it. But if you keep on at it, eventually, one of them will give you a valid response back, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's a machine. Because any regular human would start throwing themselves in the window. So, we're still at that stage where a lot of the Turing test wins quote that we get, air quotes there, massive, huge air quotes that we get reported that is mostly fake. And I honestly don't think we're going to end up with a 10 amount of data of how mine files. I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. We're not going to end up with that in the next 50 years. In fact, I don't think we ever will because the efficacy is important.
Yeah, the brain is so complex, like I can't imagine actually creating something like that.
Yeah, it really is true to say that the most complex computer on this planet is not one that's made of metal or plastic. It's the one that's in our head. Actually, I do recall someone somewhere. Let me see if I can try and Google this.
Also, my iMac is really starting to strain now with 1080p. It has the i5 in it, and I think it's because I'm doing other things, but now it's 50% utilization from OBS itself. But I mean, it's not dropping frames or anything, surprisingly. It hasn't dropped a single frame, but the CPU is being used a lot. So go iMac, go.
Oh yeah. I mean, sorry, ack this alarm. I didn't mean to say ignore, honestly. Yes, I did mean to say it. Oh, it automatically cleared. So yeah, someone mentioned the bandwidth of the human brain. And it was a big number.
Oh wow.
The human brain is capable of a lot storage-wise. We can store well, the estimates are between 10 and 100 terabytes. Right way up to 2.5 petabytes. So, to put that in context,
a memory in terms of bytes. That's crazy to think about.
Well, if you think about it, you can express most things as bytes. Images we could express as a series of bytes.
Yeah,
speech we can represent.
At my university, they have a class called biological computation. I wonder if that class goes into this sort of stuff.
Maybe, maybe not. Biological computation is slightly different. So biological computation wouldn't be the same as neuroscience.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, 1 petabyte is e to the power of 15 bytes. which is a huge number,
Yeah.
like really huge number. But biological computing, it's an interesting thing. So a biocomputer would be something that has built its circuitry to basically have something similar to Chinese capacitors, transistors and capacitors, etc., all built using DNA and proteins, just
Okay,
like
So the
quantum
biology
computing.
is literally
The computer, yes.
Wow.
In the same way that quantum computing would have storage at the nano level, like for example, using the property of quantum spin of an electron to determine the binary value. Although quantum computing is a bit different and a bit difficult because of the Heisenberg effect.
Yeah.
So hopefully you know what that is.
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's actually called the Heisenberg principle, my mistake. So the Heisenberg principle, otherwise known as the uncertainty principle, states that the position and velocity of an object cannot be measured at exactly the same time. It also has a stipulation that this is where it gets excruciatingly leaky. Merely observing. This is called the observer effect. It's kind of related to the uncertainty principle, but it's a little bit different. So, the uncertainty principle, you cannot know the position and velocity at the same time. The observer effect basically states that by merely observing an experiment, you alter the outcome.
Yeah, this is like a
So
Sayers cat
these two go back to the same thing with quantum mechanics. Quantum spin is one of those things where you can determine which way an electron is spinning by observing it. You are, in essence, bringing that spin into effect by observing it. If you aren't observing it, the quantum spins every direction simultaneously. The second you observe it, it spins in another direction. So yeah, quantum mechanics can be a bit of a mind-bending experience. So biological computing is probably going to be easier to build things out of proteins and DNA. It is. I mean, there had been some really awesome research into using nanotubes and carbon-60 buckyballs. Really, really tiny spheres of carbon as a means of storage and as a means of computation. These days, a quantum computer is a bit of a misnomer because it's not really operating at a quantum level, rather it is using the superconductive, the special quantum effects to electrons that superconductivity has. So essentially, you're taking some electronics, you are cooling it down to some really, really cold temperature, close to the absolute zero, which is like minus 240 odd degrees Celsius. And at that point, electrons start to behave differently. That's the quantum effect of superconductivity. It's not true. It's not true quantum computing with components that are nano in size. It's all. It's. I'm seeing. I think.
There's that company D-Wave that claims to have made a quantum computer.
Yeah, and they are using the quantum effects of basically superconductivity.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's getting late, so I should probably get ready for bed, and we can talk more D-Wave tomorrow. And I'll see about that thing about artificial intelligence or whatever. I think it'd be fun, even though you know it already. It'd be fun to just watch a 90s documentary.
Oh, it definitely will. I've seen. I'll actually, in return, I'll show you some of the ones I've got. I've got one, and it's really interesting.
Okay.
Let me actually find what it's called. It's aired in the UK, but it's kind of special. It's one that I made sure that I grabbed because it's a really interesting peek back way things used to be.
Mm-hmm.